Welcome back to the Pure Air Podcast. We're your hosts, Shuji Patel.
I'm Anushka Kemisetti.
So, in the last episode, we talked about Bhav and Shub's overall entrance to a nonprofit organization and their responsibilities that they have. So, now, Anushka, would you like to state what today's episode is about?
Yeah, so like we've mentioned in our first few episodes, our mission is to stop underage vaping and drug abuse. But to fulfill this mission, we've taken a two-pronged approach: prevention and corrective action. So, like we mentioned, for prevention, we've gone to elementary schools, done library seminars to educate the community. But what is this corrective action? So, Bob, can you elaborate and get us started off?
Sure. So corrective action is what happens after somebody vapes underage. What are the steps we take to ensure that they don't do this again? Right. So just off the top of your heads, can you kind of think about where do people vape? Where do kids specifically vape?
I mean, personally, I've seen a lot of people vaping in the bathrooms, like the school bathrooms. So,
Yeah.
There you go. So vape detectors, which is our corrective action step, they get installed everywhere that kids will be vaping, such as bathrooms, stairways, hallways, etc. And so really what we're trying to accomplish is, all right, this person vaped, what do we do now? Like, how do we stop them from doing this again? And so the first step is identifying that somebody vaped. And this is sort of where we introduce the vape detectors. Um, yeah.
So, Bob, can you give us like a little more like context on like what exactly the vape detector does? Because I know there's like a lot of parts to it. You have the hardware, you have the software, and things like that. And like when somebody steps into a bathroom and is vaping, right? Like, is it thinking to like send off a signal to like school administrators, or is it going to sound off an alarm? Like, what is it going to do exactly?
Right, is this just a smoke detector or what?
So let's zoom out for a minute, right? Let's think about when and how these get used in order to understand the what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in scenario A, all right, we have a student goes into the bathroom, student vapes, vape detector goes off. We'll go into the specifics of that in a moment, but vape detector goes off. Um, so what, right? So the system that we are working on, that like me and my comp sci team is sort of trying to implement, is that school administrators are the first to get the signal from that vape detector, so that they're able to coordinate it with the rest of their security system. So they have cameras, and they have SROs in the building, and so in theory, with a vape detector and a camera, you should be able to figure out who's vaping. Now, that's not to say we're installing cameras in bathrooms. We have cameras in the hallways,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And so vape detector goes off, students come out, you get an idea, right? And so that is step one, is figuring out who's vaping. And so in order to accomplish that, we're going to start to look at the hardware, right? So at its core, a vape detector is a particle detector that looks for these small particles that vapes emit in the vapor. It looks for effectively carcinogens and such, and it does some cool laser stuff to figure out when those particles are present. So it's not as straightforward as a smoke detector, because it's looking for, again, slightly more specific types of particulate, um, and that's why they're so much more expensive.
So like when that little laser thing detects those particles, right? Is that gonna like send off a message to like school administrators or whoever's like, I don't know, watching the cameras, or is that gonna like send off an alarm?
So this depends on the school, but what research has shown to be the most effective is not that the school has a fire drill and everyone goes and lines up outside, but that an administrator learns who has been vaping, and then we're able to actually provide counseling for that student, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, schools have guidance counselors, schools have access to NEOLF and other sort of um, health services, and so they're able to provide what? They're able to provide the best sort of help to these troubled students, so to speak.
so could you guys give us like an estimate cost of how much one vape detector costs?
So like the unit cost for a vape detector, off the top of my head, it's around 3 grand a
Wow.
unit.
Yep.
That's a lot. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's just the hardware.
And
Yeah.
how many like vape detectors would we have in a school?
So it depends on the size of the school. So a school such as Parsippany Hills, which is our home districts, all of our home districts, would require probably about 8 per set of bathrooms, so 16 total. Or not per set of bathrooms, but 8 for the female bathrooms, 8 for the male bathrooms, and then here and there probably 2 or 3 for the stairways. So we are looking at like 18 to 20 vape detectors a school.
Wow, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
So Shub, what is like the expected cost for, let's say, like one high school or like one middle school?
It can easily cross 6 figures, like over 100 grand, like very easily. So yeah, it is up there. It is very expensive.
Yeah, so if we're looking to, if people are looking to invest in this, and why should they? Like, why? How do we know this is effective, and why should we invest our money into something like this?
So the first step, I would encourage you to think about the process. Again, your child, you're vaping in the bathroom with your buddies, and next day you're with the guidance counselor. Now you have a trusted adult who's not looking to put you in trouble, but they're actually explaining to you why what you did is wrong, right?
Mhm.
So we are looking at an educative step where again, we're not looking to punish a student, right? That's not
Mhm.
why we have this advanced system. We're just trying to see who we need to get one-on-one with, right?
Yeah.
So just logically, I feel like that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Um, Now, sort of aside from that, there are plenty of studies that show that vape detectors are effective. Schools with vape detectors experience 80 to 90% decreases in students vaping in the
Wow.
bathrooms.
So, how would you say, like, what's the overall technology? How would the vape detectors send messages? Like, do they send messages, emails? Do they call our school administrators? Could you explain, like, the communication behind that?
So this is very unique to the school. I know at my school, the way these vape detectors work is our SRO basically has this huge security setup, right? And when a vape detector goes off, he gets the message first, and it also sends out a text to everybody else. And then we have a fire drill, and everybody lines up outside. That's sort of to force people out of the bathroom so that they can see who was in the bathroom, and then they can have sort of one-on-one with the guidance counselor, and we can see where they're at, right? So that's sort of the way I think that this is most effective, um, because again, we've hit all 3 bars. We know who it is, we know who we need to get one-on-one with,
Mhm.
and we're able to address that issue with a counselor.
But do you guys think this is effective, getting students to line up in front of everyone? And is this an effective corrective measure just to get everyone's opinions? Because personally, I don't think having you line up in front of the whole school and then admit this is just gonna make you feel more anxiety, more pressured. What if you go back into the drug abuse? So, what are your guys' opinions on that?
I mean, I think aside from the people who get caught, I think the people who just witness the whoever vape, like I feel like they would feel like more cautious now and realize like, okay, vaping is definitely like I'm gonna get caught for this, and they would probably alternately just stop, especially, and this would overall just help them. So
I mean, on that note of like, "Oh, we're gonna get caught," I feel like people would just get more creative with where they go to vape.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
I also think that like, hey, if like somebody's vaping in a school bathroom, like right, like a place where like without a vape detector or a camera, you would not be able to see them vape. There's a really good chance that they're vaping outside of school, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes people who vape won't necessarily vape in school because they fear getting caught.
Hmm.
But if they do end up vaping in schools, it's usually in a place like a school bathroom. So having these vape detectors, right, it can help you like catch students who you wouldn't think would like normally vape, right? Who don't have a history of vaping like in public.
Right.
And this really just increases our chances, of finding someone who needs that one-on-one help.
okay, so now I have a question for you guys. So let's say like this is just a scenario. Let's say in a bathroom there's a bunch of people and like one or two people vape. But what about all the other people who didn't vape? Would
Yeah,
they,
I was just about to ask
yeah,
this
would
too.
they like get the same consequences?
So there's again, this is up to the school, but we're not trying to force consequences on
Yeah.
people. We're trying to figure out who needs help. We're trying to figure out who needs this one-on-one, human-to-human connection, to understand why they shouldn't be vaping, right? 'Cause it's one thing having our seminars, and going to these elementary schools to teach people, but, having that one-on-one with a trusted adult, that hits different, right?
Like, I feel like you can kind of think of it as like an X-ray, for example, right? It's like really looking for like where's the broken bone, right? It's not saying it's not like suggesting like treatment or something, right? Like what happens after somebody gets caught is really
It's a school's thing.
it's a school's thing, yeah. Essentially, like it's a school's decision what to do after somebody gets caught. These vape detectors are just tools that the school can use to actually see who's vaping.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard some like I would say like fear from people. Like if we install these vape detectors, then everyone in the bathroom gets investigated and they essentially get caught too and they're subject to questioning and whatnot. So that's people's fear and dismissal of the vape detectors. So what do you guys think of this? Because I know this is something that in the future with better technology this can get worked out, but as of now, this is one of our goals. So we have to work out some of the um some of the problems in these.
So let's think about this for a second, right? Let's say the four of us are in a bathroom. There's a fifth person there. That fifth person is vaping. What do you do?
I would probably sneak out and inform someone. I would personally not try to get that person more angry or have more anxiety than like what's compelling them to vape. So
And this is a fairly reasonable course of action.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
yeah, I would
All
try
right.
to discreetly inform someone.
So if there's people that aren't vaping in a bathroom with people who are vaping, we agree then that the sensible thing to do is to exit the situation.
So shoot, we heard about why these are so effective, but why haven't schools already done this? Why haven't they implemented it if it's so obvious?
It's the cost, really. A lot of like a lot of school districts, like for example, Parsippany, right? They just like simply don't have the budget to afford these vape detectors. I mean, they would love to have these. It's just they don't have the money.
Um, so what are some hurdles that come in the way? Like schools are we're government funded. So why isn't this something the government can just support and help out the schools?
Well, see, right now, like the government, right? Like it's really up to the New Jersey state legislator to pass legislation, granting vape detectors to all these school districts, right? But like just like these school districts, New Jersey's having its own budget problems, right? So they have other tasks to attend to. But like really going back to the school districts, right? I mean, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but it's really like mismanagement of the like school district's budget, which is pretty much like prevented them from being able to buy these vape detectors.
Um, and why do you guys sort of think like this has become a bottom of the barrel concern where during budget allocation this sort of falls at the bottom of the list of concerns that needs to be addressed or money needs to be allocated for?
I think it's more so they don't really recognize the value of vape detectors so much. I feel like if school districts kind of recognize like the effectiveness of vape detectors, it would pretty much be higher up on their wish list. But right now, right, I don't think like a school district like Parsippany necessarily sees it as a necessity.
Another thing too is out of sight, out of mind. Um, we put posters on the wall. We put a hall monitor there. We're good.
Yeah. And where would you say we come in then, like not only from a monetary aspect too, but also sort of raising awareness within these the authorities that will help us get these implemented.
I think it's definitely like outreach with people who are in government. Like, for example, Brian Bergen, who we recently spoke to, he's a
Right.
perfect
Mm-hmm.
example, right? Somebody like that who can actually, like, advocate for our cause in front of the New Jersey state legislator, right? Because really, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter how much fundraising we do, right? Like we need essentially like legislation so we can get these vape detectors in every school district. Because we can raise, I don't know, 5 grand, right? That's not going to solve Parsippany's like vape detector issue. That's not going to solve another town's vape detector issue.
So, as Bob said and you said, we just want to change their overall perspective of what we're currently doing
Yeah.
and how we can advance it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but not to fail to mention the 500 grand would be very helpful to get some of these schools started.
Yeah, especially a lot of the ones in Morris County.
Why'd you say it? Why'd you say that? Like specifically in Morris County or
Our school sizes in Morris County for the districts are very well suited to a six-figure budget, specifically around the 100K mark. Um, we've seen, all of us have seen what the quotes look like for Parsippany and similarly sized districts, and we have a lot of similarly sized districts here.
so so districts of this size is something that Pure Air Project can help. And do you think that's somewhere we can come in and have this be an achievable goal?
I think that until legislature happens, we're the best the schools got.
Exactly. Yeah.
The legislature takes time. Sorry to cut you off.
That's what I agree. Yeah. I think like right now, like it's pretty much on us to try and get Parsippany these vape detectors because right now there's like no guarantee that they're gonna be able to afford the quotes or any of that other stuff.
You know what I mean? I think after we talked with the Board of Education, we realized that with all the other things that they're funding, just adding vape detectors is just something they can't support.
It's just
And
not feasible.
Yeah, and the government also can't support it at this time. So I think that's just what we have to do as a team together and solve this problem.
And that's really the difference we can make.
Yeah, not even as a team, just like members of our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, sharing your insight, Shub, all your knowledge, Bob, your elaborate knowledge on vape detectors, clearing the air on some questions and clarifying doubts people have on what vape detectors are and how they work.
Yeah.
So
And I hope everyone in the audience got their answers. Their questions answered, and with this little Q&A, and we're just so grateful that you guys could just give us a little bit more knowledge into what specifically these vape detectors will do. So yeah, thank you.
Pleasure to be on.
Happy to be on.
So
thank you, guys.
yeah, thank you, and tune in for the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
That's so good.